Okay, we're live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on in the planet. This is Oluseyi Lala. And welcome to Achievers Zone. This is episode 5, and I'm excited to have my friend Sola Omotosho in the house. Good morning, Sola. How are you doing?
Shay, I'm very well. I'm doing very well. Thank you so much, and I'm very, very much excited to be on this show. I call it a
Yeah,
show anyway, because
yeah, it
it's
is.
gradually becoming the talk of the town among
Wow.
among your friends. Yeah. So thumbs up for you. A good job, well done, and really happy to be here.
Thank you very much. I mean, just to remind our viewers, we had a schedule before. I think we're like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago that we're supposed to come on, but we had some technical issues and we couldn't do it. But again, that helped us, and it is actually interesting that the topic we're talking about today, dovetails into what happened because I was using a tool before, right, to do this broadcast, and because we had that technical issue, I had to find another, and somebody within the community reached out to me and give me a new tool, and I had to learn how to use that tool, to broadcast. So it was interesting for me to say, oh, okay, looking at the topic of the conversation, that wow, okay, everything works together for good, like they say, and I'm really glad
Mhm.
that we have the chance to do this. Like I was telling you before, we usually have these conversations, last year or 2 years ago, but it was just the two of us, just a phone call on Skype or whatever, and we just talk for hours and hours and all. And
Exactly.
it's exciting for me that all of those things we talked about, as our dreams and aspiration, is coming true, and we can actually sit down together live on a platform and really talk. So it's not strange to us talking, back and forth and chit chatting like this. It's just going to be, just normal. So I'm so excited, and I'm happy that it's a dream come true for me in some sort, because we keep talking about these things just in a small, little space, but now we're live on the platform and we're doing the same thing. So it's so much exciting.
Yeah, you can say that again, Shay. I remember all those calls, weekend calls. Sometimes we just say, I just want to touch base with you a few minutes, and
Yeah,
then 2 hours later we're still chatting, or 1.5 hours
yeah,
later we're still talking. And of
mm,
course, all these things are things that has helped us over the years. And
absolutely.
like you said, you're excited. I'm super duper excited as well to actually
Right.
be bringing this to live, and
Wow.
so that other people can share out of those things we usually uh, discuss between us.
Right, absolutely. So let's just go straight into it. I mean, you are a member of the community, and just for those that are viewing, basically, Achievers Zone basically came out of the group I created, on Facebook, which is 2020 Goals and Vision and Achievement. And the whole idea for me was basically to have a community of goal getters that can set goals, track goals, and achieve their goals within the year 2020. I know 2020 has always been like a year to look onto, because in the Nigerian context, we always have that vision 2020, and then if you go to an ophthalmologist, they'll tell you that your vision was the 2020. So something 2020 was very significant. And that's when I got inspired to just start this, because prior to this, and I'm going to ask you that question as well, I set my goals, I set, my achievements, what I want for the year, and I progressively improved over the years. I mean, there was a particular year I scored 20% in my achievement, but I have grown over the years to a point where now I do over 80%, which is very, very exciting for me, to be able to do. Now, so firstly, I knew that, okay, 2020 was going to be very, very important. And that's how we
Yep.
set up, that group. However, I didn't really put COVID and the coronavirus into perspective, because nobody saw it coming. It just came out
Mhm.
of the curb, and before you know it, the after effect is everywhere. People are working from home and all that. So the first thing for me is to ask you, okay, so what are things, how did COVID-19 affect you, as an individual, from a work perspective, family, and all that?
Uh, See, this COVID-19 pandemic, it has affected everyone, actually,
Right.
particularly all around the world, everywhere around the world.
Mm,
Personally, it has affected me in a lot of ways. Like you said, family-wise, it has affected me at the work I do. my business, my career, the
Right.
people I see every day, every aspect of life. Now, it is, when we look at the negative side of it, we look at it as what would 2020 would have been like
Yeah.
without the COVID-19 pandemic, right?
Right.
But when you look at it on the opposite side of the fence as well, there are a lot of lessons, good lessons, and positive vibes that come with it. So I look at
Mm.
it and balance it. So personally, when the pandemic struck, the first question that I asked myself is, who am I becoming after the
Mm.
pandemic? And
Right.
then there are two answers that came to me. One is either I become better or I become
Mm.
bitter.
Wow.
So I can
Right.
either become better or I become bitter. Now, if
Mm.
I work on myself, if I take advantage of this COVID-19 pandemic period and I
Yeah.
harness all the possibilities, all the positive things that are embedded in it, of course,
Mm.
at the end of it all, I'll be better.
Right.
However, on the other hand, if I fail to do what I need to do, then I'll be bitter afterward. So,
Mm.
with that in mind, and that's part of goal setting, I set a goal to say, well, whatever comes, I don't really know, but I really want to become
Right.
better instead of
Right.
being bitter. And of
Mm.
course, with that, it took me the very first week, I didn't even achieve anything. I was just like, oh, this has come to stay. The news is
Mm.
all over the place. It was overwhelming. My
Yeah.
workplace, for strategy, we were quick to respond to that and say, okay, cool. This is what we have no command or control
Mm.
over. So
Right.
I go back home, work from home. And from the second week, the leadership said, yep, the earliest time you can think of coming back to work is August 1st. And I knew
Wow.
this back in March. So
Wow.
I came from work front on
Mm.
myself. I began to see what can I do to make myself better. Now,
Right.
after I realized that, I extended it to my team. What can I do to help my team achieve
Get
their
better.
goals?
Wow.
Now,
Okay.
my kids, fortunately, they started working from home as well, learning from home.
Right.
So homeschooling.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had to learn that as well, merge it with my daily work. As I'm
Mm.
working, I'm also homeschooling. And a lot of
Yeah.
other things. I got better at parenting. I got
Right.
closer to my child. I know what they do at school, their
Yeah.
friends, who they're
Yeah.
missing, who they want to talk to, and all those things. So I'll say
Right.
it has affected me on a positive side, but of course, I do realize that, well, those things that I take for granted, like shaking
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
hugging,
Hugging. Yeah.
going
Yeah.
for coffee meeting every morning, you say, okay, goes coffee time 9 a.m., 9:30 at work. I miss all those
Yeah.
things,
Yeah. That's true. The social
yeah,
interaction. Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just like you said, and I like what you said about the fact that okay, you determined and said, okay, are you going to get better or you're going to get bitter? And we'll still get into it down the line because a lot of people, are always in that predicament to say, okay, something has happened that is out of their control. What is
Yep.
your perspective, in that particular situation? Do you want to find a way around it and overcome it, or do you want to, set up a pity party and just whine and all of that? And that's very important. And it
Yep.
boils down to a mindset, basically to say, okay, you know what? Do you always see the positive in every situation? Or are you part of those that always feels that, oh, let me just look at the negative, I will just accept it the way it is, and all of that. And it's exciting to, at least for me, I just like you said, my company already knew that okay, this was going to be a long-term thing, and the possibility of working from home would be required. So even about a week before the lockdown happened in Nigeria, in Lagos, I was already working from home because I was part of the team that was going to test run it and make sure everything is fine. Connectivity was there, people could access all their stuff. So I was already doing that. So by the time the lockdown happened, I was telling somebody like 2 days ago that I felt like an astronaut, right, in space. I was in my space shuttle. I knew what had to do. I already had a routine. I already had a plan. I wrote a couple of articles about, okay, these are the things I am going to do to be able to go through this lockdown period in terms of routine, exercise, and all of that, because I knew I wasn't going to go out around and that social interaction was going to come down to zero. So I
Yep.
started doing stuff. I even learned to use Zoom, to use Microsoft Teams. Even though I'm techie, I know how to do it, but I wanted some level of advanced knowledge
Yep.
about it. And that's what placed me in a situation where my focus was not on the pandemic. My focus was now, what kind of person will I be at the end
Yep.
of it? Will I get better? Will I improve? So I dedicated myself to webinars. It was just an exciting time for me. And just like you said, it's a matter of decision to say, okay, you know what, am I going to get better or am I going to get better? And that's fantastic. So let's just go to the topic of the day. I know, for those that are listening, I think the basic topic we're looking at goals versus growth from a career point of view.
Yep.
So people set goals, but what they don't realize is that the aim of setting the goal is for you to grow.
Yep.
That means that, so I give you this typical example, like, okay, so if I'm trying to get financially free, and I say, okay, I'm going to be saving $25 every month, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is a goal, right? But it might be a stretch at some point, but the moment I reach that goal, I should be able to say, okay, you know what, can I move this to $50?
Mm-hmm.
And then try and stretch. It's basically a principle I learned when I was reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, Kiyosaki. And he
Yep.
says that when you are faced with a situation, right, instead of saying I can't do it, say how can I do it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because the moment you say I can't do it, everything shuts down. He says your
Sure.
brain shuts down, your system shuts down, you have accepted the defeat, right?
Mm.
But if you say, how can I do this? Your brain is switched on. You're not trying to find ways of, finding the solution and all that. And that's what I do. So from a goal point of view, I set goals, right? Just like that example. If I say $25 a month is what I'm saving, after I've done it for a while, the next thing I start asking myself is, how do I save 50?
Mm.
So I start to look at my finances, and it goes for every other thing. Even if
Sure.
you're an
Sure.
athlete or whatever, you can start. So what's that relationship between goals and growth from your perspective?
Wow. So I like the perspective you took this question from the financial point of view, because
Right.
everyone can relate to money, right?
Yeah.
Everyone can relate to money. If you are
Right.
$25 richer today or 25 naira richer today, and you feel
Yeah.
that, well, I really want to get to that level of 50 naira, what do I do? Then you do
Absolutely.
something. I call those things fundamentals.
Right.
Now, the fundamentals are the same thing. If you get the
Mm.
fundamental right, it will be easier for you to go up the ladder. So
Right.
goals versus growth in the career perspective. I want
Yep.
to say that it's not that we are saying it's not a good analogy to be comparing goals to growth. I would
Mm.
say goals is a starting point.
Yeah.
If you
Right.
don't have a goal, you don't have a desired destination. Let me put it that
Right.
way.
Right.
So your goals will determine how much growth you will
Mm.
experience along the journey.
Mm.
So let's
Right.
let's look let's look at it. Let me take it in another direction. If you don't have a destination goal, what
Yeah.
I want to, that's the goal, that's the destination.
Right.
Every road will be like the right road.
Yeah. I like that.
Let's
Right.
look at it from the physics that we learned in secondary school, speed
Right.
and velocity,
Yeah.
right? They're
Yeah.
the same measurement, right? But
Yes.
I want to go to from Ibadan to Lagos, right? I
Mm.
can actually be speeding to get to Lagos, and I am facing the north,
Yeah.
motion.
Kaduna.
I
Yeah.
will never ever get to Lagos, no matter how fast
Absolutely.
I am. But
Absolutely.
if I say, well, Lagos is the destination, that is my goal, and
Mm.
I go in a velocity, which is speed in the direction in the particular direction,
Right.
eventually I will get to my
You.
destination. And so I would
Right.
say goal is the starting point, and then as
Mm.
you continually improve yourself, as you continually and intentionally improve yourself, you will get to your destination. And there are
Destination.
a lot of, like I said, fundamentals. There are a couple of things you need to do. You
Mm.
need to know your why. Why do I
Absolutely.
desire this? Start with
Mm.
why. Why do I desire this? If your goal is really desirable, if it's compelling enough,
Mm.
you won't find reasons not to wake up and run towards that
Right.
goal. So
Yes.
I like to do this to get to a level of growth that I desire in my career. I like to put
Mm.
it in years in 5 year blocks, 5 year
Right.
blocks.
Right.
Now, how did I come up with 5 years? I think about it. Primary school, we spent 6 years. For
Yeah.
the very, very intelligent one like she, by primary five, you're ready to go to JSS one, right?
Yeah.
And then secondary school, 6 years. For the very brilliant one, they're attempting GCE at SS2, 5 years.
SS2. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, no matter how difficult your university education is, you can have a
Mm.
5 year course, especially okay, maybe medicine and all this other one. So you can have
Yeah.
4 or 5. So by the fifth year, you are reaching a destination. Now the question
Right.
now is, which destination do you reach? Do
Mm.
you want to reach a well-defined destination
Right.
or an undefined destination? If you do it
Mm.
very well, you will reach a destination that you are designed for yourself
Absolutely.
through your goal. Through your
Mm.
goal. So your
Mm.
goal will take you towards the direction you want to go. 5 years,
Mm.
you will get there. 5 years,
Mm.
you may probably like almost get there,
Mm.
right? If you don't achieve everything. But if you don't have a goal at all, your chances or your chance of getting to that destination is zero.
Wow.
So goal is the starting point. Growth is what you get along the line. Now,
Right.
there's an interesting thing to that as well. As you go along, you can actually see how you are doing, and that's what we do evaluation. I like to do my
Absolutely.
evaluation quarterly. Every quarter,
Okay.
I just look at it. What do I do? How did I perform? What can I do to improve? And all
Mm.
those questions I ask myself. And if I need to do something, come on, I need to upgrade. If I need to really slow down because it's affecting my health, it's affecting my social status, it's affecting my family, then I need to slow down as well. So all those check and balance is there.
Wow. I mean, yeah, you're absolutely spot on. And you've mentioned a couple of things that, I'll just kind of take off from. But before I do that, I mean, just to clarify with people, you need to start with a goal in mind, which is, more or less like a vision of where you're going to. And I keep telling people that the same way organizations set goals and targets, you should do the same for your life, because you are the CEO of your life. You are the CEO, of everything about you. So you should be able to say, okay, you know what? This is year 2020. What do I want to achieve in my career? And one of the things that we tell the community when we started out in January was some of the principles I learned from one of my mentors, Michael Hyatt, where he says, okay, you know what? There are 10 segments of your life: the physical, the spiritual, your mental, your vocational, avocational, those different areas. There are about 10 of them, to say, okay, in this quarter, what do I want to achieve from my career perspective? Do I need to add, a course to what I know right now? And that's dovetailing to what we have underlining that topic, to say, okay, career goals and growth, learning, unlearning, and relearning, because people don't really plan about their career. They just say, okay, you know what? They gave me this in school. I studied this. Now I'm working here. No, I mean, you and I know that, okay, the target is to be at the very top of management, right? To a point where you own your business, you're running your stuff and all that, but you have to start from somewhere.
Definitely.
I remember, I mean, for me, I've had over 25 years of experience in telecoms and ICT. And I can remember the very first day when I started, it was, I had a vision in mind of what I wanted to do, of where I wanted to go, which is what you're saying, that have that destination, set that goal. Now, the aim of that goal is to ensure that you grow. And I said this in one of the other shows with one of my guests, that a lot of people, when they set a plan, they feel that it's just going to be from A to B, straight line. That, okay, once I start here,
Yeah.
but you have to realize that it doesn't happen like that in life.
No,
Things
never.
are going to happen. You're going to go up the mountain, come down, the storm will
Money.
come, the rain will come.
Yep.
Things would be, you get disappointed, you go for a course and fail. Those things happen.
Go.
And it's all to ensure that you get better and you grow to get to that destination. And
Exactly.
an example I give is this: a pilot that is, driving, flying a plane, let's say from Nigeria to Australia, for example. It's a long flight, right? He
Sure.
has he has to plan for the fuel. He has to know the speed he's going to, fly on. He has to know the altitude, but he makes adjustments along the way. So there are times that as he's going on, yes, the weather forecast tells him everything is fine, but something happens along the way. He might need to go higher in his altitude to
Mm.
overcome, that obstacle. He might need
Yep.
to slow down at some point. He might need to accelerate at some point because there is a destination time that he has to arrive,
Mm.
in Australia. And for those that, that are very long, that he has to stop along the way, he needs to measure his fuel consumption and all those things. So I tell people that, what, as a CEO of your life, when you look at your career, what are the things you're putting in place? In this
Mm.
lockdown period, like I told you earlier, I've done a lot of courses, webinars, conferences, some paid, some free, but
It's
I
even
wanted to
easier
add.
this time.
Exactly. Because I have the time now, I don't have to commute. So the 2 hours, I think I was telling, well, for those that don't know, your wife was one of my guests as well when we're talking about health. And I was telling her about, my routine, when I wake up and all of that. I start my day around 4:30, 4:35. And
Mm.
right now, because it's a lockdown period, I had to log into work by 8. So you can imagine if I've woken up by 4, the things I would have done in those 4 hours to get myself ready. So a
Uh,
lot of the times it also improves my productivity. So one of the things that you've mentioned that I was trying to dovetail is the fact that once you set your goal, you also have to track it, which is
yep.
what you were talking about in terms of adjustment, which is why I gave that example about a pilot that's flying a plane. You have to make adjustments, right? It's another mentor of mine, John Maxwell, that says that he says great coaches make half-time adjustments.
Yep.
Yes, this is the middle of the year, right?
Mhm.
And going back to our 2020 goals and achievement community, I was encouraging everybody that, okay, you know what, we do our Q1 appraisal, we do our
Yep.
Q2 appraisal, right? And
Yep.
then you look at the first 6 months, and I tell them, okay, COVID has happened. Yes, we understand that. But just like you mentioned, it's your decision to say, am I going to get better or I'm going to
Yep.
get better? You know,
Yep.
so we're doing a half year review, which is
Mm.
where this inspiration came to just start Achievers Zone and just call it, people from the community to just talk about, their routine, their life, what they do, how they set their goals, how they track it, and how they achieve it. So my next question to you will be, okay, I've known you for a while. I know you set goals. You've mentioned it already. So what
Yep.
are the things you do in terms of practicality to
Mm.
set those goals, to track them, and ensure you achieve them?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a very good question. So since forever, I can say forever because since I was in UI in Ibadan, then I used to set
Yeah,
goals, and
yeah.
then as my goals is around what I see,
Mm,
it's not too far about my academics. What do I want? How do I get there? Where do I
right.
read? And I put that in writing, right?
Mm-hmm,
My journals from there is still in my study, so I
right.
still go through them. Now
Yeah.
that is me. There are three things I do when I need to set my goals. Right. Number one, I need to I go through what I call envision. I need to visualize it. What do I
Mm,
really want?
mm.
I also need to sieve it. I need to take it through that funnel to see, okay, the ones are so many. There are
Yes.
so
Yes.
many. I need to sieve it and put it into a prioritization matrix to say, okay, all these
Absolutely.
things I want, are they really, really very important to me?
Important.
So when
Right.
I envision, that's when I collate all those things. The so
Mm,
good stuff that I want, the big picture of the future, the some things that I really desire as a human being that yeah, I just want to
mm.
feel it. But yeah, I put them together, envision it, visualize it, and put them down. Now, from a very young age, I learned not to trust my brain. That is not, that is not to say I am not intelligent or not clever. But if you don't put it down, the possibility or the probability of forgetting is really very high.
I
And
actually have a
so,
quote for that. I have a quote for that. Somebody said, I think it was Pastor Kalijai, JT Kalijai, that says that the shortest pencil,
yep,
right, has more memory capacity than the smartest brain.
That is true. Absolutely
Because
true.
but
Absolutely
once you
true.
write it down, it is
Yep.
there. If you keep it in your
So
brain, something you forget. Even the brightest of us, still fall to
just like, just
that
like
situation.
so when I'm envisioning, I'm writing, I'm pouring it down.
Mm.
I discover that when I'm having my shower, this come to
Yeah.
me. Or
Yeah.
if you go to my bathroom in my room, there is something on the wall on my mirror. And there are 2 or 3 pens over there. In case
Right.
one stop writing, I
Mm.
put it down. I just put it down. Right. So
Mm.
envisioning, that's number one. Number two, planning.
Right.
Once I come up with those things that I want to do, I set it down, and of course I have to plan. And I
Mm.
write as many as I can,
Right.
right? And what I do is I just plan it into 10-year goals, 5-year goals, 3-year goals, 1-year goals, and less than 1-year goal. And that's
Right.
it. And I keep
Mm.
watching it every quarter.
Mm.
Now, the top thing I do is I commit to the ones that I can achieve. And
Yeah.
then I use the SMART analysis, smarter or smart, to just
Yeah.
make sure that I commit to those ones. And once I commit to it, that is when I try to I go ahead and work towards it. I did mention that I do it in blocks of 5 most of the time, 5 years.
Right.
If I look at the
Yeah.
current time, for instance,
Mm.
where do I see myself in the next 5 years
Mm.
in my career? And I give
Mm.
you a practical example. So sometimes ago, so many years ago, before I left Nigeria for Australia, I was just researching. I did a project. I was working in one of the telecoms company, the vendor, the leading vendor in the world, and
Okay.
I delivered a project which has some agile, agile flavor in it, and I so
Right.
much love it. I didn't know anything about it, but I
Mm.
love the way it was delivered. And that was when I said, "Oh, cool! This is the future. Nobody around me knows anything about it." And
Mm.
so before I left, I did certification in that. I started preparing myself. I still remember
Mm.
that day I was preparing in the office, and 2 people, including a project manager of a project I was working for or
Yeah.
working with at that time, came. I was like, "What are you doing?" Agile, I've heard about it. And then they spoke and then they left. But I was
Mm.
digging. I came
Mm.
to Australia, and the first training I did, the investment for that training and everything that went into that was about $2,900. Now,
Wow.
when I came on board, I had no job, I had no prospect, I didn't know
Mm.
what I was going to do. I was looking for that, but I still
Mm.
took almost $3,000 just to prepare myself for the future.
Right.
Because I knew in the next 5 years, I want to be that coach. I want to
Yeah.
be that agile practitioner.
Yeah.
Now, long story short, I am 6 years old around here now, and
Mm.
I can say anywhere that when you talk about an enterprise agile coach in Australia, I'm one, and
Wow.
I am part of a very big and good community. And
Yeah.
it did not start overnight. It started
Mm.
way back ago, right? It started
Absolutely.
way back ago. So I envisioned it. I planned for it. Even when I didn't
Mm.
know anything, I made sure I started with as many people that I can start with. I
Yeah.
got information from every source I can practically get source information from, and I committed to it. I committed my money. I
Yeah.
committed my time. I wake
Mm.
up like you said. I wake up very early.
Yeah.
4 a.m. I'm up, and I try
Yeah.
to go to bed early so that I can have my full sleep
Time for
time.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
that's what I do. So anytime I go to work, I resume at 9, know fully well that 3 hours has gone into me developing me.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
work, I work on myself as much as I work on my job.
Right. Right.
I work on
Yeah.
myself as much as I work. So once I do this envisioning, planning, and commit, I go for it. And then don't forget that there are other smaller goals that are attached that you just want. Those are
Yes.
the low hanging fruits. You just look
Yes.
at it. What is the commitment or investment that this small goal needs from me? Oh, maybe in the next 3 days, if I put everything into it, I should be able to start it off.
Mm.
My list, I put it down,
Mm.
do it, and off we go. And
Wow.
so every time, every 5 years, I look at it, I make my list, I look at what I've done, and of course, there is room for interpolating so that another
Yeah.
one you just we can just manage everything like that. So
Mm.
that's the way I do when it comes to setting goals, then tracking them and achieving them. Now, like I said, I have always recorded a very high number
Mm.
of my goals. Another thing I need to mention is every year I look at the year and I have
Yeah.
ways. I don't know whether we
Yeah.
can talk about that today. In my room now, there is a vision board that needs to go on the wall January. And every day I wake up, I look at it. And then by December, I'm taking off.
Right.
And when I'm taking off, trust me, I'm smiling because most of them are already achieved.
Yeah, I mean, you're practically spot on that, and I think it was one of the things we discussed when I had your wife on the show as well, in terms of having a vision board. And a lot of times people don't understand, what it means in terms of getting that, and it's basically simple. The your vision basically is the future that you have projected for yourself, the future that you want, for yourself. So there's something from, I think it's from marketing, that I learned when I was running my MBA, that they call it top of mind awareness, right? That if I'm thinking of buying a Jeep, for example, that is red in color, right? The moment I decide it, I will begin to start noticing red Jeeps around.
It's flashing
You know,
around you.
exactly. And this is how one of my mentors puts it, that your life goes in the direction of your most dominant thoughts. So
Yep.
you cannot imagine, if you have those thoughts, have it in pictures. And I always tell people that, look, you know, God made man in his image and likeness, right? And imagery is very, very important to us. And I give this example. I've always done it. It might be like I'm sounding like a broken record, but it's true, in the sense that if I say dog to you, Shola, you don't think dog. You
Sure.
look for a picture of a dog you've seen before, right? And you have it in your mind. If I
Yep.
now say Alsatian, you change that picture to the picture of
Mm-hmm.
an Alsatian dog, right? So if I say Dalmatian, if I say, German Shepherd, you start to change the picture. You are not thinking in letters, you are thinking in pictures.
Yep.
So if you have that picture of the future that you want already in front of you, just like you said, maybe, on your bathroom wall or your bedroom wall or somewhere where you see it every single day, your mind will begin to think in that direction. Then you can start to put a plan in place. So
Yep.
it's like setting that vision, setting that goal, then having a plan to say, okay, this is how I'll get here. I tell people, like, what I am today, I saw it 25 years ago. Even though
Mm.
I didn't have the details, but I saw it that, okay, I'm going to be like this is going to happen. And I wrote it down even before I had a laptop or a
Yep.
computer or a smartphone. I just write it in my journal, in my notebook. And just like you, I have them. And sometimes, when I want to reminisce, I just go back and see, and I'll be like, oh, okay, the target was to get this monthly salary. And I'm like, wow, okay. And that happens. I remember 10 years ago, I was working in Ghana as a consultant with some of my friends. And we said, oh, you know what? If we can start earning this amount of salary after tax, we'll go back to Nigeria. And guess what? By the time I came back to Nigeria, I was earning that amount that we
Hey,
mentioned.
it's a
Because,
good deal.
do you understand? And now I'm already projecting that, okay, this is what I want after tax for any kind of job I'm going into, and all of that. So the essential thing is have that vision board, and it can be
Mhm.
pictures. So, for example, from a career perspective, if you're trying to get certified, go online and check that certification, certificate, take a picture of it,
Yep.
possibly put your name there and paste it somewhere. So when you wake up, you're seeing it that, okay, I want to be CCIE, or I want to be certified CFA or whatever. put it up there. But that's not the only thing to do. Now start a plan. How do people become CCIE? How do they become CFA? What courses do they do? How long does, you need to now start to search for information to help that your vision or that your goal, right? And then you start to track it with time. So just like you mentioned, the
Yep.
smart or smarter, ways of setting goals and all of that. And that's, the way to go. And you have to be committed to it. Just like I was saying that when you set a goal, people think, oh, it's just from A to B and it's going to be straight line. No, failure will come. And that's another question I wanted to ask you in terms of, yes, you have a plan, you have a goal. However, things happen that does not fall into the plan. So in essence, how do you handle failure when it comes to your career goals? So maybe you said that I want to get this certificate by this point, but you did it, you studied, you went for the exam and failed. How do you manage failure from a career point of view for goals and growth?
Let me first of all answer that by saying that the best thing that can happen to any man is failure.
Right.
That is it. Now, when you fail, people say you fail. Failure is an event, it's not a person.
Right.
Failure is an event, not a person. So when people fail, it's not them that fail. It is just some orders that they were supposed to surmount that they could not at that point in time. Now,
Right.
does that mean that they won't be able to surmount in the future? No. So it has told you that, well, you are supposed to do this. Now you have tested it and know that there is a better way to get things done. Now, if it's not difficult, to me, I feel it's not worth it.
Right.
At the end of the day. So if I continue to stay in my comfort zone and then I achieve something and I clap for myself, and then I do something that I know that, well, even if I close my eyes, I'm going to achieve, right? And I achieve it and I clap for myself, then I am not moving. Some people think they are moving. They are just moving in figure eight, all around. For you to really, really intentionally move forward, you need to fail forward. And failing forward means that you get to that hurdle, you attempt it, you fail, and then you find a better way to do it, and you go ahead. I'll give you a practical example. Now, I was working with one of the telecoms company in Lagos just at the beginning of my career, and I wasn't doing certifications just because I didn't find enough reason to do it. I need to buy. And then one of my very, very good friends, this is the first time I'll be sharing it. If I don't know, OJ, I was working in Lagos Island, and it was in VI. And then I needed to open a port, simplest thing. I open a port on a switch so that I can configure. I know what to do, but I couldn't just open that port. And he was trying to tell me on the phone. I was hungry. It was a bad day. I just didn't get it. My friend had to drive from VI to Lagos Island, which is meant to be about 10 minutes drive. It was in traffic for about 2.5 hours.
Wow.
And then when my friend came, I'll say it in Yoruba, okay, for me, seriously. I mean, it started raking for me.
Yeah.
One port you cannot open. What's your problem? You know this thing. This. That day, I told myself, okay, cool. Now I know why I need to do this. So from that point, I made up my mind. I was going to do this. So I studied like there is no tomorrow.
Right.
And that was when I wrote my CCNA. Now I look at it, CCNA, that is the entry level certification for this track. What do you mean? Nothing. This guy that is really telling me it's got CCNA now. I started my CCNP, all the 4 tracks. By the time I did 7 exams, Now I went back and I told my friend, guys, these are my certifications. And they were like, what?
Mm.
No, what caused that? It is that day of failure. I felt like I had failed.
Yeah.
You know that this thing, opening
Yeah.
a port is like someone knocks on your door and you open the door for him. That is the
Yes.
simplest thing you
Yes.
can do as an engineer,
Yeah.
and I couldn't do it. That was the
Mm.
beginning of saying it's a day that turned my life around as what I need to do technically. And
Wow.
by the time I brought all my certifications, I did not just present the paper. People just
Yeah.
discovered that this guy was becoming better.
Yeah.
So when they say, there is a problem, escalation, I'll just them, I got it.
Mm.
I got it. I got it.
Mm.
And
Mm.
I single-handedly set up point to multi-point links to over, as in close to 200 branches of a major, one of the big four banks in Lagos. I was just
Wow.
looking at everything. Everything was just clear to me. But
Mm.
I did not start on that level.
Absolutely.
That is a failure. You know what it means? So
Mm.
when I look at it in retrospect, when I want to say, when I want to point to few people that have actually affected me, my
Mm.
friend comes up because it is the day that turned my life
Yeah.
around.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah, so that is a major failure. Now, that day I knew that failure is my friend.
Mm.
It is an event. OJ came, I couldn't do it. He did it for me, and it made me feel miserable. That's
Mm.
an event. How do I react to it? It's either I
Mm.
react or I respond. I chose not to
Mm.
react. If I reacted, I will never talk to him again. I will make him my
Yeah.
enemy and I'll
Yeah.
bullshit him. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I responded by making me better. It's about me.
Yes.
About me.
Absolutely.
And that is it. So
Absolutely.
every time I get to a particular point when I see problems, I say, yeah,
Mm.
this is my breakfast. I hate it
Mm.
to become
Mm.
better.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you said a lot, and I'll try to kind of break it down a bit because I mean there are a lot of nuggets you just dropped along the way, in that conversation. And the first thing for me that comes out is failing forward. Of course, John Maxwell has a book that with
Yep.
that title to say failing forward, and also you also clarified the fact that see, failure is an event. It is not you as a person, and people need to understand that okay, when something happens, I put it this way that okay, that failed, but I'm not a failure, right?
Yep.
And then I look at it from a different perspective to say, okay, how can I ensure that this does not happen again? Which is what you did from that example you gave. That okay, you know what? I felt bad in this situation. Your friend was telling you you're smarter than this. You can do this. You felt somehow, but that spurred you to say, you know what? I'm not going to experience this again. What do I need to do? Now, that is really, really important for people to understand that, okay, you know what? It's the event, it's not you
Yep.
as a person. And,
Yep.
and, and once you separate yourself from that situation, you cannot look at it holistically and say, okay, how do I make changes to ensure that, this gets better? That's
Yep.
one. And I appreciate you for that because that is totally spot on. The other
Mm.
thing that you said is about okay the fact that it spurred you on to start the certification and you did it up to a point. However, it was not only about the certification, you also developed yourself. I mean,
Sure.
my last guest, we had an HR question and answer, and this question came up that certificate, which is your sabi, the ability to your knowledge versus certificate, which one is better. And he was highlighting the fact that okay, you know what, initially yes, certification is fine because I did it when I started out my career because it was a way to open the door to say okay, you know what, I know what you guys are talking about. So I had my CCNA, I did my MCP for Microsoft and all of that. But at some point, right, I also realized that your certificate, as in the skill you have, your know-how, is also
Sure.
very, very important. So it's not one versus the other. The
Sure.
best combination is to have both, which is what you said. So you did the exams, had the certificate, but you also had the skills to back it up. Because I mean, in a Nigerian context, Nigeria is the most populous black nation in the world. So I,
Mhm.
I tell people like this that if I profile my CV with everything I have, I can bet you that at least 10,000 people that have that same profile. okay, you have an MBA, you did PMP, you are a network engineer. There are 10,000 people that have that. What will differentiate me from the
Yep.
crowd is my certificate, is my skill set, is the things that I can put on top to say, okay, you know what? Yes, I have the certification, but these are my skills, both
Mm.
soft skills and hard skills, you know. And that's what I want to pull out from your storyline as well. That you didn't even not only did you get the certification, but you improved yourself.
Definitely.
You added that skill where you are now able to say, okay, you know what, where's the problem? I got it. Where's the problem? I
Yep.
can do it. Do you understand? And
Yep.
that's the message for people also to understand that we're not saying that don't do certification. It's fine, it's good. It keeps you at the door, it opens the door for you, it makes the door ajar for you to go in, but it is
Yep.
your skill set that
Yep.
seals the deal a lot of the
So,
times, you know, that can back what your certificate has for you to be, you know, a standout person and you know, different.
yeah.
And I really thank you for that. So I put up some of the questions that, you know, I had in mind. Of course, some of them we've already answered, but I want you to go to this one in terms of just give us, you know, to the extent that you can share, you know, some your career journey so far, so that people understand, you know, that okay, the person we're talking about is not a greenhorn somewhere, he's not a newbie. I mean, we've been doing this for years, you know. So can you just give us like a brief summary of your career journey so far?
I like the word journey because it's really a journey as well. When we were growing, and you were part of this because we grew up together.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be an engineer, technical, techie guy, you know, and everything. And of course, we studied so high, sciences. Then we went for uni, engineering,
Yeah.
and started working. Of course, we have a I got my first job and stuff like that, and it was technical, like I always wanted. I wanted
Mm.
power, but you know what you have versus what you really want, and
Yeah.
it's actually something that I need to talk about this time around because what I
Yeah.
really want is what I'm doing right now. You know,
Absolutely.
that's the industry I'm working right now. But that's not the story. Let me start. So I started in the technical world of IT, you know,
Mm.
do the IT stuff, and then we always pray for a better job. And I got
Mm.
into telecoms. So I started working in telecoms for a couple of years until I got another role in telecoms. That was the third job I had.
Mm.
Let me first of all tell you that before I even started working, after I finished service, that was the first thing. There was no
Yeah.
job. There was no
Yeah.
job. So I would say our era is when there are still some opportunities, but
Mm.
before you got there, they already know who they're going to choose, and then we
Yes.
just go through there for interview and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
1 year after I finished service, there was no job, and my very first thing I did, that was when telecoms just came, mobile communications was
Right.
make your call at 15 naira.
Yes.
So I remember, and that is where networking, I think we're still talking about that. Who are your
Mm-hmm.
friends?
Yes.
Those
Yes.
friends that I roll with at that point in time, if we get to that question, I'm going to mention their names. Probably some of them I'm going to embarrass them, yeah. But
Mm.
those guys set me up and then made me get my first thing that I was
Mm.
doing. And then I
Yeah.
got a job. And when I got a job, the money I was making for my small business was actually much more than my first salary. Just to tell
Mm.
you that, yeah. And this is an opportunity for me to say that if anyone that is listening to us now, because of the pandemic, has lost their job,
Mm.
they can look inward and do
Yes.
something. I
Yeah.
know a lot of people must have been affected, and this is just by the way, but I think I'm led to just say this. Look
Yeah. It's
inward,
important.
something that can put food on the table that can really make you sane. And that
Mm.
was what I did over there. Of course,
Mm.
I started after my service, I started IT, telecoms, and I got into to Ericsson and spent about 8 years with Ericsson, and that was what changed my whole world. I
Right.
I saw that wow, this is what it takes to work in a
Mm.
multinational. This is
Yes.
what it takes to be called a talent.
Mm.
This is what it takes to be called an expert.
Yeah.
And then I began to see. And
Mm.
after then, I was very good in my technical job, but I saw that there is more to it. I
Yes.
need to continue to improve myself. Now,
Mm.
something happened. There were a couple of people. There was a program that Ericsson did at that point in time. Young graduates that made first class and very strong 2-1, they were taken and brought in, and they called
Mm.
them his staff. And some of us have been working for a couple of years.
Yeah.
When I saw these guys, they were hot.
Mm.
And I told myself, if I continue to compete with these guys, there is no competition. And that taught me a lesson.
Yeah.
Create, don't compete. Create,
Yes.
don't compete. And
Right.
that opened my eyes and said, guy, Fala, you need to begin to think beyond this. And that was when I
Mm.
started talking about project management. How
Yeah.
do I do this? And I,
Yeah.
like you said, there is a way to open the door for you. There's the certification. I asked myself,
Yes.
what does my organization use? PMP. And I went for it.
Mm. Yeah.
And of course, that did not open the door. The door was really tight to open.
Yeah.
I persisted. I persisted. And
Mm.
under my project management journey, I relocated and I got the project management role.
Mm.
And afterwards, I left telecoms. I went to education.
Right.
So while I was in education, I did a project manager role there, and I also lectured. Now that's another hidden value. You know,
Talent.
people that know me when I was growing up, they call me Omo Baba Max because my dad was a lecturer. You know,
Right.
my mom was a teacher, and
Yeah.
that is just in me. But I didn't
Yes.
really want to go through what daddy go through there. They were not wealthy, so I said, no, I have to be in the field. But
Right.
when I got here, I saw how sweet it is to impart knowledge. I went back to education.
Mm.
I did that for some time, and I started missing going to work as well. So
Yeah.
I got into government. I did a role for the Australian government for six
Mm.
months, a contract, and then I went back to telecoms. Now,
Okay.
don't forget, I started in technical. I went to project management. At
Yeah.
some point, I told myself, what is in the future? And I
Mm.
began to look at strategy. I began to look at leadership. And then
Mm.
I said, okay, cool. I love to teach. That's what I did in education. I love technicals. I've got the telecoms background. Where can I
Mm.
go? And then
Mm.
this company approached me. It is like the MTN of Nigeria, and
Okay.
that's Telstra in Australia.
Okay.
And I became an agile coach. And don't forget, the agile coach did not start today. I started
Yeah.
back in
Yes.
Nigeria. I said
Yes.
it. And
Yeah.
so everything worked together when everyone was running away from network, from telecom,
Mm.
as
Mm.
part of my agile coach crew. I was
Mm.
saying that is my strength. I'm going to coach them and they're going to become better. And
Mm.
that is it. And
Mm.
as how we have it, sometimes you need to listen to people around you. My wife is always saying,
Yeah.
Shola, you like contract, well paid, right? I said, yes.
Mm. Mm.
It's time you go to full time. And I said, I
Yeah.
don't like full time because of all this. But she's persisted. And I listened to her. So
Mm.
2018, I changed to energy,
Right.
which is, remember, that was my first love
Your
from school.
first love. Yeah.
And what was I doing in energy? I was doing techie. I was doing the strategy work I love, the coaching I
Right.
love,
Yeah.
the agile I love. In
Mm.
the what's it called? In the sector that I love so much, that I prepared
Absolutely.
myself for in school. And so
Wow.
everything connecting the dots back, I can say
Mm.
God has been preparing me. I have also learned along the way, and
Right.
God has helped me to position myself for that. So, and that's the journey so far. And
Mm.
there are still much more to do in the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's still much
Uh,
more to do.
wow. Wow. I mean, Thanks for sharing that. I mean, absolutely fantastic. There are a couple of things I need to pull out from there, which is critical. And I mean, I can share my own story. It's almost parallel to what you just shared and all. But my story will be for another day. You are my guest today. So there are two things I wanted to pull out. The first one is the fact that you saw the future. You were preparing for the future even before the future came, right? I mean, these days people are already talking about the future of work, the fact that people are working remotely from anywhere using any device and all of that. To be honest with you, Shola, I saw that 5 years ago. As
Mm.
at 2015, I started preparing myself for this environment where everything is online, everything is futuristic,
Yep.
as in all your engagement. So I did courses online. I did everything online. I was getting ready for this, and I told a couple of my colleagues as well that, look, this is what I'm seeing in the future. Let's just start, Of course, some of them, just like some of the people that you mentioned, were like, but I just I was persistent about, and that's another thing. It is your life, it is your goal. Don't wait for somebody to validate it. It's
Sure.
yours, right? And if you're convinced enough about it, be persistent. The same people, right, that are saying, oh, you're not saying, will come around later to say,
Mm.
you were right, though, just like the example you gave. So that's the first thing in terms of projecting into the future. And this is how I do it. I get inspired. I surround myself with inspiring people. And that's one of the questions I was going to ask you in terms of the importance of career partnership and networking. In my
Wow.
case, right, I made sure that I am usually not the smartest person in my group of friends when it comes to my career. I deliberately do that. So I'll give you an example. When I finished with my BSc and I was working and all that, I had friends that had done masters and they were my friends. I had friends that had done MBAs and they would talk and I'll be like, okay. I know I'm smart, but I deliberately make sure I am not the smartest in my group so that I get inspired. So the moment they're saying, Shay, what's happening? We are going for PhD. I'm like, okay, guys, hold on, wait for me. So I call a couple of my friends together and we're like, okay, you know what? Let's do an MBA, and we're doing an MBA for a reason. We sat down. I mean, I was out of the country at the time. I was working in Ghana,
Mm.
and I called my friends. He came to Ghana. We sat down. We searched for schools online. We did everything, and we applied and got into the school, one of the top schools in the UK, and we started right now. By the time I did my MBA and I finished, of course, some of my friends had moved to PhD. So I started saying, okay, guys, wait for me, I'm coming, and that's what I do. And that's the importance of having people, even those that didn't do, academic qualifications, those that have certifications, I always hang around them. So from a networking point of view, a lot of my friends are CCIE, you know,
Mm.
because they've done it. And I just hang around them because your association, determines, where you're going and what you be. I mean, the good book says that he that walks with the wise will be wise, right?
Sure.
And the
Sure.
companion of fools will be destroyed. So I usually do that as well. So the question for me is this: what is the importance, from your perspective, of having some form of career partnership and network around you to achieve your goals and to grow from a career perspective?
So the need, thank you for that question. It's a very, very wonderful question. Let me just say that first of all. The need for career networking, career partnership cannot be underemphasized. It is or overemphasized. It is
Right.
very important, very, very important. Now, the first thing to just to buttress it, there are certain questions you need to ask yourself.
Mm,
Number one, who am I having lunch with?
right.
Who am I having coffee with in this part of the world?
Yeah.
The golden nugget of coffee meeting. Hey,
Yeah.
you need to know. You spend $4, $4 that is negligible. If you
Mm,
work $4 to
yeah.
really get a lot from someone that you have
Mm,
never met. Coffee meeting,
right.
it is
Yeah.
golden. Who are you?
Wow.
Who is in your network? If you
Mm,
look at your LinkedIn profile, how many
yeah.
connections do you have? How many of
Right.
them are value to you?
Yes. Yes.
Who is your network? Who
Mm,
is your mentor?
mm.
At
Thank you.
some point, you want to ask yourself, who is your mentee?
Right.
Who are
Yeah.
you pouring yourself into?
Into. Mm.
Yeah, you need to ask yourself, what are my immediate career goals? What are the goals? What are the things I'm aiming for?
Mm.
Right? What are you reading? What book are you reading?
Absolutely.
These questions will help you know how to network, who to
Mm.
call upon.
Mm.
So to go to that, it is very, very extremely important. Now, I'll give you some things. This morning, this early morning, I've had meetings with 4 of my friends.
Wow.
4 friends that we worked together several years ago, but
Mm.
they are amazing.
Mm.
Why do I spend 2 hours talking to people that has moved on?
Mm.
They've moved on, but we still stay close to each other. Right?
Absolutely.
Now, you need to identify the right potential or the potential, the right partners, the
Mm.
potential right partners. Let me put it that way. You
Yeah.
need to also make that connection. How do you make
Mm.
that connection? You don't need to know people. You just need to know that, okay, cool. Who is that person that I need the next big thing from?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you need to be able to ask yourself, what can I offer them?
Mm.
You don't want to be a pest on someone. So you want to
Mm.
go with your own baggage and say, well, the little I have is this. Please take, but I need this from you. Now,
Right.
the question is, this guy is up there, but I don't have what it
Access.
takes. There are 1,000,001 tech talks
Right.
you can share. There are 1 billion books you can refer that you have read. There are
Mm.
articles that you can read. Just make sure you have read it before you pass it on. It
Yes.
doesn't come back
Absolutely.
to you. No, all
Mm.
those things. Yeah, you need to also begin to educate each other. For example, I've got 2 mentees or I'm working with from the PMI and other mentees as well. Now,
Yeah.
this guy, the last meeting I had with one of my mentees, I practically told him, I need your advice. He was like happy because he's been taking from me, he's been taking from me. Now I said, I
Yeah.
need your
Yeah.
advice. He is your mentee.
Mm.
That's
Right.
it. Now, you also, after you have built a rapport with them, you can now begin to say, okay, this is exactly what I need from you. How can you help
Right.
me? But
Yeah.
this is not for you to ask from them alone. It is for you to build a relationship.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if you build that relationship, you continue to network. At some point, it's going to turn to a partner. Now, I'm
Mm.
going to share a quick story here, a quick one. I know time is going. Now, I had a mentor some years ago, and
Mm.
this guy owns his own company, his own IT company. I just like him. I
Mm.
approached him, and this is a lesson for everyone that's listening.
Right.
9 out of 10 times when you ask people, 9 out of 10 times they are going to say yes. The problem
Mm.
is people do not ask.
Mm. Mm.
So when they ask, you receive. That's what the Bible even says. Ask
Absolutely.
and you receive. So go ahead and ask. I asked this guy. He said, "Okay, absolutely. I'll be happy to do it. It is one of the amazing time I have had in Australia."
Mm.
This
Mm.
guy, we will meet. He will give me some nuggets. What do I really want? We
Mm.
agree on that, and then we meet once a month.
Mm. Mm.
So it was ongoing, ongoing. Until such a time that I saw that, wow, hey, you are just too good. He offered me a role,
Wow.
and that role was really, really, really good. I didn't want. It's not something that if I had applied for it, I would have said yes. But I thought about it. At the end of the
Mm.
day,
Mm.
I saw that that was not what I was really, really looking for at that point in time,
Right.
and I actually rejected that role. But
Mm.
what I was saying is, it gets to a point when you build a partnership with someone that you can actually go to them at any point in time, and they can vouch for you, they can trust you, they can commit things into your hand.
Mm.
Now,
Mm.
I'll end with this. before you begin to do, or as you're going to do this, you want to make yourself referable.
Right.
Referable. So the big question is, are you referable?
Mm.
Are you referable? It is not about enthusiasm. It
Mm.
is not about planning alone. It's
Mm.
about doing. It's about, yes, I have built my profile. This is
Right.
what, this is the value that I'm bringing on the table. But in
Mm.
order to increase my value, I need your support a as a network
Mm.
to really build it. So we can talk about this. Is a 1 hour discussion on its own, honestly, about networking.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
so the last job that I got by really, really applying back and forth was several years ago.
Mm.
All the jobs I've been getting is because someone is
Referral.
referring,
Right.
and the people that head on me, sometimes, most times I say no because it wasn't just the right time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So networking, people can vouch for you.
Mm.
Just about 3 weeks ago, I got a call from I used to stay in Western Australia, and I'm at the East Coast. I got a call from someone that really, really, really was very, very good to us. And it was like, Sola, when are you coming back? I said, well, I'm now in Melbourne. I don't know. The thing
Mm.
is, he has seen what I can do, and
Right.
he's now talking to me so that I can talk to my wife to come and take the
Mm.
room. That
Right.
is what networking can do for you. Networking can open doors not only for you, but
Mm.
for the people around you. So if you are still living in the past and saying man no man is the wrong thing, please
Mm.
think twice. Remember when we're going on man no man, not be sure again. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not a bad thing,
Yeah.
but you need to know your onions. It is
Right.
bad enough to get someone to refer you and get
Mm.
something and you mess up because you cannot function.
Mm. Right.
So prepare yourself, just like Boy Scouts, be prepared.
Be
Prepare
prepared. Yeah.
yourself. The opportunity comes, someone helps you to get it, and go and justify the fact that you deserve it. So
Wow.
that's
I mean, just like you said, thank you for that. I mean, just like you said, right? We can discuss this for hours, on end. And just to help people that are listening or watching, especially for those that are just at this early start of their career, because they find it like, oh, they don't know what to do and all of that. And you mentioned something about mentoring, and I need to make people understand that it's about exchange of value, right? You
true.
don't just come from a parasitic point of view to say, oh, let me just grab from this guy. No, because that guy also has needs. So try as much as possible to find, a familiar ground. I like what you mentioned about, okay, maybe you've read this book or read this article. Approach the person and say, oh, I've been following you for a while. I noticed that you mentioned that this book is nice. I've read the book. However, can you help me with this? Do you understand? Because your approach is also important. I read a book by a lady called Remy Owadokun, and it's called Mentorless. That's the
Mm.
title of the book. And she's trying to highlight the reasons why some people don't have mentors, because is either the approach was wrong or the on perspective of their mentoring was wrong, because they just want it to be give me, give me, give me. No, it's an exchange. Just like you said, right? There are times that mentor is asking a mentee for something. Oh, advise me. Can you be in that position to be that mentee that a mentor can come and meet and say, oh, let me know your idea about this? Do you understand? So when you're starting out, it's good to have mentors. I mean, I have gained from that. In fact, a lot of my mentors, apart from my line managers that I worked with over the years, some were good, some were bad, but I learned from it. Some of my other mentors, I've not met them before. I
Yep.
just send
Oh,
them an email, or I say, okay, sir, this is what I'm trying to do now. Can you advise me? And because of my approach, they are willing to open up and say, oh, I like the way you approach me. Okay, I'll give you a typical example. When the pandemic started, sometime I think it was in March, and people were talking about this, conspiracy theory of 5G and COVID-19, blah blah blah. I felt, well, a big concern, because I'm like, look, this is my area of expertise. I've been in this business for over 25 years, and I feel like, no, I need to talk. I didn't even know that on some of the platforms, social media platform, people were waiting for me to say something, because they were like, okay, from telecoms point of view, I know Shay is a telecoms guy. He should be able to talk. And I didn't say anything, right? So by the time I said something, and people were like, thank you. You know, some other people were now arguing back and forth. And I did something. I reached out to two people. One of them is a Nigerian professor in Scotland and is the one leading, their drive for 5G.
Yep.
I think his name is Yusuf, Professor Yusuf. And then I reached out to another person who is the person driving 5G deployment in the UK, in
Mm.
Oxford University. I just sent them a LinkedIn message, introduced
Yep.
myself, and said, "Oh, I'm in this situation right now. This is my view of it. However, because you are leading on the field, can you
Yep.
advise me?" And they
Mm.
came back and said, "Wow,
You
I mean, I
will.
like," and they did. And I said, "Okay, can I quote you in this so that I can say, oh, according to what this person said?" And they said, by all means, that look, this is what they do. They're professors in the field. This is what they're doing. There is no correlation between COVID and that's what I did. And right now I have access to them.
Mm. Yep.
So in any other area, I can always, send them an email. So a lot of the times as well, your approach matters.
Mm.
When you are starting out in your career and you're trying to reach out to mentors, is very, very important.
Yep.
I'm going to stretch this a bit because Shola, we should have done this before and we couldn't. So we're going to stretch this a bit beyond the 1 hour period, just to get as much as we can get into it to help people. And I thank you for your time, for sparing your time to do this. I know it's early in Nigeria and it's late there, but just help us to get this done along the way.
It's
Thank
all
you,
right.
thank you so much. Now there are two questions here that I've not asked you, and I just want to go into it. The first one is, yes, we've talked about setting our goals. We've talked about getting out of your comfort zone to grow, because if you stay within your comfort zone, you're not going to grow. So
Mm.
and usually, like somebody says, that your success is outside that comfort zone. So you need to stretch yourself, to get there. Now, this concept about learning, unlearning, and relearning, can you explain that?
Wow. With that, I'll just first of all start. When you ask the question about my career journey,
Yeah.
that's speaks volume that there is a we've got the point where you need to learn a lot, and then
Mm,
you get to the point where you know if you really want to go to the next level, which is the growth level now, you
yes,
need to learn new things.
absolutely.
Now, when you learn new things, it's about some culture, traditions that has been part of
Mm,
you. Some people
yeah.
will say, I cannot do without eating a bar in one day. Why is this so? It's because when he was growing up, it is a bar
Mm,
every day and it is
yeah.
part of his DNA and he feels he
Right.
cannot, but
Live
it's
without it.
the same
Mm,
thing with all
mm,
this. What you have learned is part of you, is your cultural belief, right?
right. Yeah.
Now, let me now state that what has taken you to a particular level cannot sustain you in the next level.
Absolutely.
What is
Absolutely.
taking you to a particular level will not sustain you in the next level. Now,
Mm,
I'm going to be practical in this. Remember, when I started my journey in the technical world,
yeah.
it was the it was very
Mm,
fun because
mm.
you talk to the machines, the switches, the routers,
Yes.
and they
Yes.
don't
And
argue
they
with
and
you.
they respond. Yes.
Respond. Give them garbage, they give you
They come.
garbage.
Yes.
Give them the correct syntax, they respond. No argument.
Yep.
If you do the right thing, you win.
Yep.
That is machines for you. Technical
Mm,
engineer. Good. Now
yeah.
I went to another level. Of course, I was successful in that. And I went to
Mm,
another level where I was project manager in
yes.
some very, uh, very difficult terrain, right?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
brought me success in the technical world will not bring me success
In the PM world.
in the PM world. And that
Right.
is why, and then our brain is more like the hard disk. You fill it up with a lot of information.
Right.
If you want to save stuff in your hard disk and the hard disk say, I'm full, what do? You
You
delete
delete some things. Yeah.
some that are not useful. And that is
Mm,
where the relearning comes in.
mm.
Unlearning.
On learning. On learning. Right.
Learn the stuff. that you don't really need, that will make you,
Mm.
that will not make you successful in the next terrain. Now,
Right.
once you get that, you will need to relearn new things. And that's why I
Absolutely.
said what has brought you success to a level will not bring it, will not take you, will not
To the next
sustain you,
one.
take you to the next one. And so you
Mm.
need to continually do what? Learn,
Mm.
learn something that will take you to the next 5 years.
Right.
But learn the things that will draw you back.
Mm.
And that is why the quote that is from Alvin Toffler that says the
Mm.
illiterate of the 21st century are not those who cannot read or write, but
Mm.
people who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Now,
Right.
Shay, I tell you that that quote is 30 years old now. What will you say?
Wow.
It's still very
Wow.
relevant. This is
Relevant.
November 1990,
Absolutely.
and this
Yes.
is 2020. That's about
Mm.
30 years ago.
Mm.
So you need to be able to continually prepare yourself for the future. And the
Right.
future is constant learning, constant
Mm.
learning. You
Yeah.
need to know that knowledge does not equal to understanding.
Yes, sir. Come on.
Knowledge does not equal to understanding. Knowledge
Yeah.
is, I heard about the 5G thing. Yeah, 5G
Yes.
is telecom stuff, but yeah, I
Mm.
know it. But do I understand how call center
Mm.
using the 5G technology is made?
Whoa.
How does me picking my phone here in Australia and talking to Sheyi in Nigeria, what are the
Yeah.
things,
Mm.
protocols that happens
Yeah.
in between? That is
Yeah.
understanding. Now, as you, Sheyi, as a technical specialist, you now go to a site and you set it up. That is when we say, oh, but when you're good, oh, Sheyi is good. That is
Yeah.
wisdom.
Yeah.
That is level. Go from the level of knowledge,
Mm.
the level of understanding, and wisdom. So, learning, unlearning, and relearning
Mm.
are those process that will take you from that level of yes, I kind of understand it. Now I really understand it. I've learned it, but that understanding is no more relevant for tomorrow's world.
Absolutely.
This
Absolutely.
DNA, oh no, that's not a good example. The things I learned when I was working for Ericsson,
Mm.
configuring some things are no more relevant for me because they have
Right.
changed a
It's
lot of things.
evolved.
They
Yes.
changed the
Absolutely.
printers, they changed the size of the gadget. We used to
Mm.
have big MSC, which
Yeah.
is really big. Right now we have blades. I'm not
Yeah.
even sure what they did there. That means a little card will do what a
A big.
big.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I've learned something with that mainframe big stuff, how will I be able to configure the small blade?
Blades. Yeah.
So that is when I need to unlearn and
Mm.
relearn new things. Now, the
Mm.
question is, when do you stop this process?
Mm.
The bad
Hmm.
news is we can never stop. When we
Absolutely.
stop, we become irrelevant.
Right.
When we stop, we become irrelevant. We are stuck with it. We need to constantly, continuously improve ourselves by learning, unlearning,
Mm.
and relearning. That is a cyclic motion. It is a cycle,
Yeah.
you know. It's more
Mm.
like continuously occurring. Continuously occurring. I'll stop right there.
Man, Shola, you know what? Just like we were doing like last year, 2 years ago. We can go for hours on this. In fact, the thing you pulled out about knowledge, understanding, and wisdom is another 1 hour on its own. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. And just to add to that, one of my mentors also says that there is wisdom of wisdom. You
Ha.
understand? As a higher level of wisdom. But let's not even go there. I mean, it's amazing. I like the way you rounded it up in terms of saying, okay, you know what? You learn, you unlearn, and you need to relearn. And it's a cycle, which goes to that last question here in terms of we can call that continuous improvement, right? In terms of constantly learning, unlearning some things, relearning new things, and then going back again. And that's how you move up as a cycle. But to ask you, in terms of how can you make that a habit, in terms of saying, okay, you know what? I understand these three things. So I have to learn, I have to unlearn at some point and relearn new things, as a cycle. But how can I make that a habit? Anything you want to share about that?
Wow. I'll quickly tell a story about that. When I was growing up in Ibadan, we used to play monkey post. You know monkey post? When you have
Yes.
soccer, when you have one post, small post, and
Yes.
then you play. And we
Yes.
play soccer until it's so dark that we cannot
Yes.
see again. Everybody will go to their houses, all the boys. And then the
Yeah.
following day, now one day I was playing with my friend. You will know this guy, DJ, Banji.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Banji said, I need to go now. What's wrong with you now? Let's play now. I said, no, I've not
Mm.
learned anything today. I said, hey. He said, I am not permitted to sleep
Wow.
if I've not learned anything. And I said, oh,
Wow.
I was in primary 5. And that day I
Wow.
told myself, I am not permitted to sleep until I've learned anything. Then I
Wow.
stopped playing my soccer. I still go to play my soccer. But before I go to play my soccer, I will sit down and learn something, at least one thing.
Mm. Mm.
So
Mm.
making learning a lifestyle is very simple. Just tell
Right.
yourself, I'm not permitted to eat until I've learned
Oh,
something. I'm not
mm.
permitted to sleep until I've learned something.
Mm.
Now, that is just a childish thing that I put on my mind. Now,
Yeah.
continuous improvement is just more or less pouring value into yourself so
Mm.
that you can give more value.
Yes. Thank you.
All of us know that you cannot give what you don't have.
What you don't have. Thank you, sir.
If someone who doesn't know about power, make him the minister of power, what do you get?
Mm.
Black.
Yeah.
Put a carpenter in charge of justice this system. What do you have?
Yeah.
Lawlessness.
Mm.
That is exactly, you cannot give what you don't have. So
Right.
continuous improvement, especially in the area of career, is what you intentionally do
Yes.
by really, really preparing yourself and committing to it. And I'll say
Mm.
since 2007, this is another thing I did. I told myself that every year I will be adding something to my CV,
Absolutely.
continuously improving myself. And how do we do it? Number one, I wake up early. The best
Mm.
2, 3 hours of the day is for me.
Yes. Yes.
So when we get to office and people are saying, I need coffee. I need to
You are
wake up.
sharp already.
They woke up at 7, 7:30, 8 o'clock. And I'm
Mm.
thinking, I woke up at 4. I
Mm.
am the one that really, really need coffee.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I give myself the best 3 hours of the day. I give
Mm.
myself the best 2 hours of the day, and I go into the
Mm.
day. What do I do? I improve myself. Add
Right.
to my knowledge. Look at the next best thing. What do
Yeah.
I want in my career? What do I want in my own business? What is the
Mm.
next thing I'm working on in the next 5 years? And
Right.
I keep on doing that. So it is. I can always say that we are always on a continuous, ongoing career improvement cycle.
Yeah.
Ongoing,
Yeah. Yeah.
ongoing, ongoing, ongoing. We need to continue to improve ourselves. So I was saying that
Mm.
since 2007, I have always added something to myself.
Mm.
So
Mm.
I want a certification or an academic work or
Yeah.
something. As we
Mm.
speak, I'm writing, like you said, I'm writing a paper with two professors.
Wow.
Two
Wow.
professors.
Mm.
Now, when I talk to them, they said they are professors. I said, yes, I know, but I'm also an expert in my field. Right?
Yes.
I don't have a PhD yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someday
Yeah.
I'm going to have like you, but
Absolutely.
I'm bringing as much value to this paper as you are bringing because I know
Mm.
what I'm talking about. Right?
Yes.
And that
Yes.
is part of continuous improvement.
Mm.
Um, this year I did a certification as well because I need it for the strategy work I'm doing for my organization.
Right.
And I
Right.
did it. How did I do it? I went to my manager when we were doing the performance management for early in the year. I said, I
Yeah.
want to add this to my performance. It was like, no, this is not part of what we do. I said, well, there is a part
Mm.
that has
That
to do with
speaks to the organization.
what do you want personally that is not part.
Okay.
I said, I want to put it there. Now,
Mm.
the question is, why do I insist that I want to put it there? I want to be committed to it and answerable to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So by the end of the year, if I do not achieve it, because I've put it in the performance management of, they are
Mm.
going to use it as a yardstick.
Right.
So I am actually answerable to that. So
Absolutely.
making a lifestyle, no matter how perfect a process is or
Mm.
a career is, there is always room for improvement.
Right.
Let's put
I
it that
mean,
way.
I have a statement for that, and I shared it last week when I was hosting a guest, and it's like this: the biggest room in the world is the room for improvement.
So,
It is the biggest. There is no end to it. You just keep adding to yourself. And just to speak about, how to do this as a habit, I usually set up, I mean, I work with gadgets and all that. I set up reminders on different devices to say, okay, what have you learned today? What have you read today? What have you done? Those questions come at different intervals to make
yep.
sure that I do it. And because I had that reminder, I think it was someone that says that it takes about 21 days to set up a habit and 90 days to make it a lifestyle, right? And
Mm.
that's 3 weeks, 3 months. So if I do it long enough, it becomes a part of me and I don't need reminders anymore. And that's how it has helped
So
me to get to that point.
I do have reminders as well. So on my phone, there are times when it will just pop up, and then I look at it. Oh, this is it, and it's there.
Yeah.
And I set it
Yeah.
endlessly. It's just there every day. It comes up.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the other thing wanted to add is that in this age we're living in, right, information is available out there and it is as close to you as your mobile phone or your device. I keep telling people I mentor, the young ones, I say, what, every information you need is on the palm of your hands on that
Mm,
device. The
mm,
moment you have internet access, when I started out my career, I used to go to howstuffwork.com because it explains how things work.
yeah.
Whether it is a steam engine, whether it's a cellular network, whether I just read it, I just take it. And these days, I think they've evolved into videos, short videos. They just show
Yeah.
you how things work. And there's another one that I do online. I just Google, did you know, with a
Mm,
question mark, right? It comes
mm,
with a video and tells
yep.
you, oh, did you know that in 60 seconds, Facebook has done this? Do you know that it takes, 30 minutes to do this? Do you know that the first YouTube that came up was 25 years ago? It looks like irrelevant information, but
Yep.
I get it into myself because knowledge is powerful. And I tell
Is,
people these days that in the future, right, it's not about the amount of knowledge you have, it's about the amount of knowledge you apply and share that's going to
mm,
be important in the future.
yeah.
And those are the things I do. So I go to that website, I read up, I Google a lot of things, because it's just at the tip of your fingers. But
Mm,
people will rather do other things than do things that will add value to themselves. And just like you said, you can only give what you have. So if you have value in yourself, then you can give value. And guess what? Every employer in any organization is looking for that person that is always adding value at
sure.
any
Sure.
level, whether you're a fresh person, mid management, or whatever, they're looking for
Absolutely.
value. And if
Absolutely.
you can give value, then you are sure of getting value back from the organization in the form of promotion, salary increase, or all of those things. And that's what I want people to understand, that you need to be able to harness all of that information that you have and use it to add value to yourself. I mean, Shola, this is fantastic. We can continue forever,
I know.
on this, and
I know.
different things will just be coming up from what you're saying, and all of that. I mean, I want to appreciate you and thank you for this time. And also believe that we will have to call you back, on
Definitely.
another topic entirely, and really gain from your experience and and your your life in general. Maybe not just from a career point of view, but because what I have in mind is even about marriage, about fatherhood, about a whole lot of other things. So you're going to be a constant guest on this
Don't worry.
show, and at some point, possibly you and Madame together at some point. But
It's no problem. We are
that's
here. It's not
that's the
today we
thing.
started, Shay, so definitely. Anytime, T, we will be happy to be your guest again.
Okay, so I mean, for everybody that has listened, or that I know it's early in Nigeria, it's very very early. But this video will be on the group's page. I will also send a copy to the LinkedIn group's page as well, and we'll share this for people to be able to gain, because the whole idea for us is basically to share our experience in an informal chit chat way, to help people to make sure they get better, add value to people. That's the whole idea of the whole show and the experience. And I want to thank you for giving us the time. I know we're clocking almost an hour and a half, but
Yeah.
I mean, our personal gist, we go 3 hours sometimes, when we are on that stuff. So this is nothing. But again, I want to appreciate you for giving us the time. I know we had technical issues before, but again, we use that to learn. And
Yep.
that's another experience. We're getting better at this by the day, by the week. I don't know when I'm going to stop, if I'm going to stop this at all. But just like you said, it's an idea that just came to me, got inspired, and I'm reaching out to my network. And I mean, I'm so proud of you guys because you have been fantastic. So thank you so much. My regards to your family and everybody.
Yep.
I don't know if you have some final words you want to say before we go offline.
Well. I'll just say first of all, thank you, Shay. And like I said, we have a lot to talk about, and we have a lot of call out there. And in our
Right.
circle of friends, there are a lot of people that can come out. I
Absolutely.
also want to
Absolutely.
say send my regards to the family as well. But I'm just going to
Yeah.
just going to end with two things. Number one is what I started with. There is still time. The
Yeah.
pandemic is still going on here, everywhere in the
Mm,
world. Now,
yeah.
ask yourself, it's not too late to ask yourself this question. One day, we're going to get the solution to this. Will I
Mm,
become better or bitter?
mm, right.
Ask yourself that
Yeah.
question. That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two is to know that the illiterate of our time is not that person that cannot read or write. So if you say you have had your BSc, your master's degree, your PhD, you can still be an
Yeah.
illiterate. So you need to begin to know what is going to make the future relevant in the workplace. In the
Right.
workplace, begin to put them in you. So
Mm,
try to know how to learn,
mm,
unlearn, and relearn,
right.
so that we can be relevant in the future. And it's all about value. The value you
Absolutely.
bring in the marketplace will
Mm,
determine your position
mm,
in your career. Not only
right.
that, will determine the money you get paid. So someone
Absolutely.
gets to work, he gets 30,000 naira at the end of the month.
Mm,
Another person goes to work, gets 3 million at the
mm,
end of the month.
yeah.
What is
Yeah.
the difference? Is the value that they bring on the
Value.
table. Is the
Absolutely.
value. So
Absolutely.
everyone can increase his value. We have
Mm.
no time. I've got a story for that, but of course, let's not push that way.
I trust you. Like I said, we're going to come back, and it's a good way to summarize everything. And I want to thank you again for that. To my viewers, we're going to bring up another guest, sometime next week. Just stay posted, stay tuned. I will share the flyer as soon as everything is, organized and set up. Thank you, Shola, very much for this time, and to the rest of the community. Have a lovely weekend. Enjoy yourself. But remember, this pandemic will still be over. At the end of it, do you want to be better or do you want to be bitter? Take care. Bye.